from PlanetMosh, and I'm here with Eric13, who's over in the UK, and he's doing a gig at my friend the Quinn's house for their wedding anniversary.
The world famous Quinns.
So you're here on a 2-week tour, is it, Eric? With you were going to come with CombiChrist to do the Alt Festival, which was cancelled.
Unfortunately, it was cancelled.
Go on, what have you been doing then instead?
Well, I still came to London, and I had planned on doing some shows. I played London, I played a little town in Northamptonshire, Rons. Here I am in Manchester tonight at the Quinn's house. I'm going to take a couple days off at Loch Ness, play a gig in Glasgow, and then I'm heading over 2 shows in Sweden, 3 shows in Denmark, and then head back to the States.
Yeah, and what are you going to do over in the States?
Play more shows. When I get home, I have a couple weeks off, and then CombiChrist has a big U.S. tour. It's 25 shows in 22 states, and we have 1 week off. We come back to Europe, 33 shows in 17 countries right up till Christmas. So I have an extremely busy year.
Yeah, because you were telling us earlier how you came to be in CombiChrist and you were just going to be there for 2 months. So do you want to tell us how you came to be in them kind of permanently?
Well, how I met them, the drummer of CombiChrist, Joe Letts, good buddy of mine, his old band used to rehearse next to my band. He was a fan of my other rock band, Sex Slaves, and so when they were looking to add a rock guitarist to the band, he called me up and said, "Can you do this one tour?" I said, "I'll do it for 2 months," and then a couple rehearsals in. You know, the guys were great. We totally hit it off. I love the band. I love the music. It doesn't hurt playing huge shows to sold-out crowds either. I really enjoyed it. They invited me to stick around in the band, and now we have, you know, another 100 shows, you know, this year alone. And so no complaints.
So you've got CombiChrist. You've also got the Sex Slaves. Do you still do much with the Sex Slaves?
At the moment, no, but I want to. I mean, I love that band. We had just finished a huge world tour at the end of our last record, and we're just taking a couple months break, and I kind of fell into the CombiChrist thing. So we're looking in 2015 to do something with Sex Slaves again.
And your solo stuff, do much of that?
I play tons of gigs. Basically, if I can play every day, I try to play every day. So if I'm on tour with CombiChrist, I'm with CombiChrist. If Sex Slaves, if not any other time, I'm doing Eric13 as much as possible.
Cool. So has anybody got any burning questions I'd like to ask Eric while we're here?
What influenced you as a singer?
It's a great question. Mick Jagger is my biggest influence, because I remember I had played guitar, but I was a little timid as a singer in the early days. And I read a great interview that said Mick Jagger, that Keith said he was one of the worst singers he ever heard, but he jumped around great. And I thought, I can do that. So I began singing, and I liked Mick as a singer. I also all the great, you know, I don't know if I sing like any of those guys, but you know, I love the great rock and roll frontmen, David Lee Roth, Freddie Mercury, Robert Plant, all those guys. Though, like I said, I don't sing like any of those guys, but you know, I love the showmanship.
Well, I've not been to one of your live shows, so do you jump about like these guys? Come on, Daz, you've been to a
Well,
few
actually,
maybe?
to be honest, I don't, because I play guitar. In Sex Slaves, I play guitar and sing, so I'm always on the mic, Sam. So one of the best parts of CombiChrist is I'm not the singer of that band.
Yeah.
So I do get to, I don't know if I jump around as much as I run around.
And fall into drum kits.
Yeah, I do that too. We've been known to have a little bit of partying before the gig, and this funny story, the very first show I played with CombiChrist was in Paris. Big sold-out show, crazy crowd. I'm super excited. The first song starts, and I jump up backwards, and there was a mic stand I didn't see, and I fell into the drum kit and broke 3 ribs. The first song of my first gig, and had to spend the rest of the tour, you know, crying my way through hotel rooms and drinking Jack Daniels to numb the pain. But I made it through.
But more importantly, were the drums all right for the gig?
The drums were fine. The drums were fine. A little blood on them, but that was all right.
And you've played with some big bands. You've mentioned Volbeat, Rammstein.
So I have not played with them. They at your gig. They came and watched us play in Berlin. And nice guys.
Are they bands that you like, or?
I like Volbeat a lot, actually. They were totally unknown in the States, and I got turned on to them I came over to Europe and was joking around playing some Volbeat. People were going crazy. They're like the new Metallica over here. And Rammstein, I mean, they're kind of a worldwide institution at this point, I would say. So I like them.
So pretty cool to...
Du hast
Right, so a bit later on we might get a Rammstein track if we ask for them then.
You might.
Do you know?
You might.
Come on, any more questions?
To echo him, he said about vocalists who inspire, which guitar players inspire,
Well,
if any.
I love Jimmy Page. Again, I don't play like Jimmy Page, but to me he's the best. You know, Jimmy Page is the best. Eddie Van Halen, but I don't do that. Steve Vai. Those, I love listening to those guys, but those aren't my playing influences. I like. I don't know if I have one. Joe Strummer. You know, guys that play. I'm about songs. I love songs. You know, I love Virtuoso. It's not that I don't like it. I'm not one of those guys that says like, oh, that's for wankers, you know, playing around. Like, no, I wish I could do that. I wish I practiced more when I was younger, but I practiced singing and doing other stuff. So, but those are my faves. Pagey.
And how have you found it over in the UK? Like the weather?
It's pleasant.
Pleasant. It's been all right.
You know, I was just in Italy last week, and it was so crazy hot that, you know, it was just unbelievable. So it's actually nice to be in England where it's a little cooler. And as I said, it sounds so ridiculous, but I was speaking with my mother on the phone. I said, you know what? It's great to be in England because everything's in English here. I can go to a restaurant and order some food and not, you know, who knows what I'm ordering. But.
And how have you found the driving? Is it mad busy compared to American roads?
Nah, the traffic's the same. The hard part was I rented a car. Obviously, it's the other side for me, and it's, you know, a little stressful, but the manual shift in my left hand, he opened the door to the rental car, and my eyes just were like, oh shit. But only one time today, driving up the M1, I was going to shift, and I reached with my right hand and rolled down the window accidentally, and then I had to quickly grab the stick shift. But nah, piece of cake.
Right, so you've got used to it now.
Yeah.
And do you do many of these acoustic shows to like a small audience?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would love every show to be Madison Square Garden, but I play big shows, little shows. I like to play. You know, I'm a working musician. I want to be working every night. So if there's not a big show to be had, I'll play a little show. If there's a medium-sized show, and you know, I played a little pub last night, and it was incredible. You know, people were really into it, and if I can find a place where people appreciate good music, I'll play as many songs as they want. You know, like I live for it. So.
As I counted, I think there's 13 people here today, so I think that's your lucky omen.
How appropriate.
Yeah. That's 13 in the audience plus Eric as well. Any more questions, anybody?
What's your favourite song to play?
My favorite song to play, I like the ones where I can really sing loud. You know, the song I played earlier, Say What. I wouldn't say that is my favorite, but that style, I love to, you know, even though I play a bunch of ballads, I'm a rock and roller at heart, so I want to, you know, I like to get down. But I love them all. I love them all. I like the ones, I like a gig when I can do all my stuff. You know, sometimes you play a gig and it's like, they want to hear the rock and roll. And
Yeah.
I will give them the rock and roll, and then there's some places where it calls for a quieter show. But if I can kind of do all the stuff, you know, to me the most important, I'm into, like I mentioned, I'm into songs. I want to show, you know, like Sex Slaves, super proud of that band, and I love it, and our first record a lot of people like, but I always felt like it made me, like, people thought it was dumb, like it was such dumbed down rock and roll, and we did that on purpose. It was like, this is just beat you over the head, good time, you know, New York Dolls, Ramones style rock and roll. But I felt I have a little more to offer. I like to do those things too.
Right, so do you find that you're writing all the time? Are you thinking of new songs all the time?
Yes, particularly on tour. Like, when I'm on tour, that's when I fill the well. And I take notes all day long. I listen to music. I see bands. I see signs on the street, and I'm constantly thinking, and I write it all down. And I don't particularly go back and like study my notebook, but I have it kind of there. And when I'm home, I typically write songs first thing in the morning, And I kind of have a rule that I only write songs like when I'm in my underwear. Like, I'm afraid you can't write a song with pants on, is what I say. So I usually wake up, I have a cup of coffee, and I sit there in my underwear, and the things, you know, driving down the Autobahn in Germany, the idea I had, you know, comes to fruition at my breakfast table. So this trip alone, I already have like some great ideas. Just driving up the highway today to Manchester, you know, I was just thinking of all sorts of silly shit, you know, that I want to make songs out of.
So we're going to get some good new stuff then in the near future.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. As much as I'm extremely excited that I'm busy all year for CombiChrist, but like I'm dying to make a new Eric 13 record, but it'll be there. It's nice to have stuff, you know, in the pipeline.
But it'll probably be in 215 now, as you
No,
said.
it'll definitely be that. It'll be that if I'm lucky.
Right, any more questions, anybody?
If you could go on tour with anybody, heroes, we start career in '86, supported by Cheap Trick, you know that they're heroes.
I mean,
Well, the Royal
you know, I got
Courts
asked
are
this
the
question.
best.
I was once on this record label run by a billionaire in the States, like literally. He said, if you could open for any band in the world, and I said, the Stones.
No,
And he said I could make that happen. But then I watched the Foo Fighters open for the Stones. I saw them play, and I liked the Foo Fighters. No one paid attention, including me. Everyone's just like, bring on the Stones. So I take that back. I wouldn't want to open for the Stones. Motorhead. I would go on tour with Motorhead any day, man. That's exactly who I would take the Sex Slaves out with Motorhead.
Motorhead supported.
No, we would go on first. I mean, Lemmy has seen the Sex Slaves play, and I think we would get, you know, that would be a good tour. I don't know if I could keep up with those guys. You know, I don't know what he's like.
You could do,
100
probably now.
110 years old at this point, but
He's on the verge of death now, isn't he? I mean, come on. He'll never die. Lemmy'll never die. You know when he does die.
They had something on Rock Radio about the Rock Hall of Fame and what should go into it, and like Lemmy's warts was one of them. What would you put it?
I mean, that's can't get any better than that.
No.
I think they're doing all right. I mean,
Angus's shorts.
Yeah.
they put some, you know, pop stuff in there that I don't know if Madonna's rock and roll.
No.
But they're trying. They're
That's
trying.
what
They're promoting
spoils-
music.
That's
They're
what
promoting
spoils
music.
Hard Rock Cafe. You go into Hard Rock Cafe and they're playing Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber and all this like.
Michael Jackson, I'm okay with Michael
Yeah.
Jackson. Justin Bieber, no, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe in 20 years, you know, back in the
Yeah.
80s, I wouldn't. We were talking about today. In the 80s, I wouldn't be caught dead listening to Duran Duran. You know, I was a metalhead. It was like
Yeah.
it wasn't Ozzy, Motley Crue, or
Yeah.
AC/DC. You know, my friends would beat me up if I was listening to that.
Yeah.
Like now, I love Duran Duran. You know, like
Yeah.
you know all the words, like that kind of stuff.
So we're going to get girls on film now, aren't we?
Bond,
Well,
Simon,
that's a good one. That's some good stuff. Right, well, any last question before we finish off from anybody? Go on.
What was the best gig you've ever done?
last week in Czech Republic with CombiChrist. It was a metal fest. It was kind of weird for CombiChrist, and even though it's evolving into more of a rock band, they're known as an electronic band. And Amon Amarth was on stage, which is a band that I didn't previously like. And they had these 15-foot dragons on both sides of the stage blowing smoke into the audience. And every time the kick drum hit, a big plume of fire shot out. And I was out in the crowd and I was like, yes! And then we went on like a band later. I looked out, it was 10,000 people. And we hit that first note and people were jumping up and down. It was just like the best feeling ever. That was the best gig.
Mm.
And now this one.
And of course, the Quinn's 19th wedding anniversary. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than right here at Casa Quinn.
Right.
Cheers, Eric.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Eric.
Oh, cheers, mate. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Right.